Did you feel meaningfully connected?
Yeah, I
Okay.
liked it.
Great, I'm glad to hear that.
So I forgot you were doing an exercise.
That's what I hear all the time. That's what this exercise is about. Is it okay with you if I tell you what the exercise was?
Sure.
So first I asked you, what's a passion of yours? Now I say besides work and family, not because I don't think you have passion about your work and family, but because then you tend to get answers that people have given so many times that it doesn't make the conversation so exciting.
And also, especially the work part, corporately correct answers.
Yeah, they have you get that facade of the person.
Yeah.
Now, then the person will almost always give what I call a cocktail party answer. That is a short answer that kind of gives you a direction of what they like, but they don't go into a whole lot of depth. Then, now you're a very open person, so you give a little bit more than a lot of people do. A lot of people say reading or movies, travel, stuff like that. The next thing that I do, when I write it out, it looks simple, but it forces me to listen a lot to what you say. So I say, oh, interesting, or cool, and then I mention one person, which could be me, in my case it was me, and I say why I have the interest that I do. Then I say another person, and say why that person has the interest in this thing.
Your friend, you mentioned a friend of yours.
My stepfather.
Yeah, when you talked to me, yes, your stepfather.
Yeah.
That's good.
And what I find is that tell me if you had this feeling, if I tell one person and their motivation and another person their motivation, did you feel like, no, it's not that. If you think that's what it is for me, I got to tell you more about myself.
Oh, a little bit.
Okay. Then usually what happens is the response that people get, that's the feeling that I get, because I do this a lot of times in front of people when I'm like coaching or doing a session in front of people. And I feel like I really got to explain why I do this. And so the person will give a longer explanation. After the cocktail party answer, see what happens is that, why do people give cocktail party answers? Why do people give cocktail party answers? If they do, I mean, that's my perception, how I describe it.
I don't know why.
It's something that they care about, and when you share something you care about, that's your emotions, that's your motivations, you're vulnerable.
Afraid.
Afraid, you could be manipulated, you could be laughed at, you could be humiliated, you could be used. If I just share things that are cocktail party things, no one can take advantage of that.
You know, it's interesting because if you look at even what I talked about with you, a lot of people would be hesitant to say what I said. Why? It'd be a shame to say they were Buddhist or embarrassed, or people might laugh at them or think that's weird or something, right? So just being out of the closet as a Buddhist would be hard for many people.
It's something you care about. For you, it's something you talk about because it's...
I do. For some people, though, even though they might believe exactly as I believe and have exactly the same interest, it would be hard for them to say.
I'm going to go out on a limb here. Was that you at the beginning?
A little more, yes, when I was younger, because it was laughed at.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so people know that would happen to them, and that's one of the reasons they don't share that.
Right.
And now, if I want you to open up with me, and I wanted to open up with you, I can't. If I just say to you, you can say anything you want. I won't judge you. I won't laugh at you. It's not particularly credible for me just to say it, because if I was going to judge you, I would also say the same thing.
Right. Exactly.
How do you make someone comfortable sharing something about themselves? The big thing for me is behavior and how you communicate.
Yeah.
And so when you share something about yourself, when I connect it to people in my life that I care about, and I'm not judging them, in fact, I'm sharing something about them.
Well, you kind of also implied that they're interesting. They're not boring or stupid or weird. They're interesting.
Yeah.
So you phrased this, it was an interesting thing your father-in-law did.
And the way that I do it is to not just talk about what he did, but I say what his motivations are.
Right.
And by my talking about my motivations and his motivations, it gets to be about motivations. And it generally gets the other person to talk about their motivations as well, gets them to think about them. And that's where we want to be understood the most.
Yeah.
So, okay, so now I've connected what you said to my life, to people in my life, and that motivates that then in a non-judgmental way. And that generally gets the other person to share more. So the next time they talk a lot more.
Good.
Now, the next step, I have to listen very carefully to what you say. And with you, this is very hard because you talked about a lot of things. You have to listen to what the person says and pick out usually 1, 2, sometimes 3 words that either they're very powerful words or they put stress on or they repeat many times. And then simply to repeat back to them, usually a clarifying question using one of those words at a time.
Okay.
So did you notice what I picked out of what you said?
Say it again.
So the first, well, it'll be easy when I say it. I said, you talked a fair number of times about dying, but I don't feel like that's what you were really talking about. It was something different.
Right.
What was it? What were you talking about when you were talking about dying?
Right. That was good.
Now, I bet when I just said it right now, you probably want to say more about it.
Yeah, it was good. It was very good.
Okay. How did you feel when I talked about dying?
It was good because I thought you were trying to get clarification on what I was talking about.
Yes, that's what happens. Generally, the most common answer I get is, I felt like you were listening to me.
Right.
I felt like you understood me. And that's what this exercise is about.
Good.
So, and then I did it again later. You specified philosophy of Buddhism, and it gives you perspective. And so you corrected me to say philosophy of Buddhism. Or you corrected yourself, I think.
Not religion.
Yeah. And so that told me there was meaning in that. A lot of people might associate philosophy with Buddhism, but not everyone. So for you to do that, I felt like there's meaning there.
Right.
So what I found over the years is that if I tell someone, pay attention to the nonverbal communication that someone says, most people are they're not really sure what to do. But if I say, listen to words that they repeat, listen to words that they put stress on, listen to words that are unusual, they can do that. That's actionable. So this is the exercise. For when they do the exercise, it's all written out, and the script is there, and it says, here's what you say. What is a passion of yours besides work and family?
Yeah.
Listen to them, but listen, and then, cool, I know X person who does it for X reason. I know Y person who does it for Y reason. What's your reason? And you change it a little bit on the fly.
Yeah.
Listen very carefully, pay attention to the words. So listen to the whole thing of what they're saying, and then ask clarification questions using in turn one, then the next words that they do. Now I tell them, do that twice a day for the next 5 or 7 days. And it's like, I try to tell them, imagine a piano teacher told you to play scales. The more times you do it, the more you learn.
Yeah,
The
and
fewer
more
times
relaxed you get.
Yes, and that after a while, see, a lot of people like to change it on the fly.
Yeah.
Improvise. I say, feel free to improvise. Please improvise after you've done it a lot of times.
Right.
When you play scales, it just doesn't make sense to play do, re, fa, mi, ti, la, do. You play it many times, and then when you improvise, after you've done it many times, then your voice comes out. And I don't want people to copy me for their whole lives.
Right.
I want them to do it their way.
Right.
But the more you practice, the more you start realizing what's going on, all these different things.